I hope you are now clear about the basic details and the differences regarding the physiological anatomy of the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. So now it will be easier for you to understand this lecture where I will discuss or I will tell you about the various autonomic neurotransmitters and the autonomic receptors. So now after learning various effects of the autonomic nervous system in our body, you might have a one question that how can the same autonomic nervous system neurons create a different effects on the different target tissue? That means a single neuron, it can have a different effect on the different tissues. And this is because of the presence of a varieties of a neurotransmitters at the autonomic nerve terminals and the different types of the receptors for the similar type of the neurotransmitters. Okay. So एक neuron है that is innervating to the various tissues, but the effect of that neuron will be different. Okay. That is because of one is the neurotransmitter and एक ही neurotransmitter के लिए भी अलग अलग receptors होते हैं. As for example, मान लो कि पैरासिम्पैथेटिक सिस्टम एक्साइट हुई है, then it can release the acetylcholine. So acetylcholine की भी every organ पे the effect may be different because there are different types of the receptor for the acetylcholine. Similarly, for the adrenergic, like a sympathetic system, the epinephrine or norepinephrine are released. For that also, again, the receptors are different for the different tissues. So the same neurons or a same neurotransmitter can have a different effect on the different tissues, and that we have to learn in this lecture. Now let us see what the neurotransmitters and the receptors are. So neurotransmitter is a substance used to transmit a nerve impulse across a synapse. That is, it is a way in which the nerve communicate with each other. Okay, so न्यूरोट्रांसमीटर का काम क्या है कि भाई जो भी इलेक्ट्रिक इम्पल्स एक्शन पोटेंशियल न्यूरॉन्स में जनरेट हुआ है उसको दूसरे न्यूरॉन्स तक पहुंचाना या फिर उसकी जो इफेक्टर टिश्यू से वहां तक पहुंचाना. And a receptor, it is a large chemical group or a molecule that is basically a type of the protein that is found on the surface of the cells which has an affinity for specific chemicals. For instance, here the receptors can recognize the neurotransmitters. So receptors जो ऐसे प्रोटीन है जो कि न्यूरोट्रांसमीटर को रिकॉग्नाइज करेंगे and that will bind with them. Just a brief overview regarding this lecture. So the information transmission between the cells in the nervous system relies on the neurons that you know. So information from one place to the another place within the nervous system, it is via the neurons. The information travels through the neuron as an electrical impulse. That means the message that is traveling through the neurons, it is in the form of the electric impulse, that is an action potential. And the information is relayed to the other neurons at the axon terminals through a synapse via the release of a chemical neurotransmitters which bind to their specific receptors on the postsynaptic cell membrane on the other cells. That means जो भी impulse neurons में travel होकर nerve terminal पे पहुंचा है, that will cause the release of the neurotransmitter at the nerve terminal, and from that neurotransmitter will bind to its receptor on the postsynaptic membrane or on the target tissue, and then it will do the changes. So you can see, let us see, this is a nerve neuron, okay, and this is a nerve terminal. So it is also called as a presynaptic nerve terminal. So where there are vesicles present, within vesicles there are a neurotransmitter substance. So whenever the electrical impulse or the action potential will reach to the ear nerve terminal, it will cause the release exocytosis of this vesicle that will cause the release of the neurotransmitter. So this neurotransmitter will be released here and they will bind with the receptors that are present over this postsynaptic membrane, or it may be present over the cell surface of the target tissue where the neurotransmitter will bind with the receptor and the further changes will be seen. Then coming to the autonomic neurotransmitters in the autonomic nervous system. So normally there are three types of the neurotransmitters that are released at the nerve terminals of the autonomic neurons, and that are acetylcholine, noradrenaline, and the adrenaline, or you can also call it that as a norepinephrine and the epinephrine. Okay, where the parasympathetic pre as well as the post ganglionic fiber that are also called as cholinergic fiber, they will release the acetylcholine. Okay. And also the sympathetic preganglionic fiber that are also releases the acetylcholine, because both these are a cholinergic fiber. While the sympathetic postganglionic, most of the sympathetic postganglionic fiber that are adrenergic, they will release the noradrenaline and the adrenaline at its nerve terminal. These are also called as norepinephrine and the epinephrine. So these are the three important neurotransmitters, autonomic neurotransmitters, rather acetylcholine, noradrenaline or norepinephrine, and the adrenaline or epinephrine. Okay. Now its detailed chemistry and the metabolism of these all the neurotransmitters you will learn in the lectures of the central nervous system later on, and also further in the pharmacology in your second year. Okay. Ahead in this lecture we will see its effect, its various effect on the various tissue. Now regarding these neurotransmitters, in other words, you can say that all the preganglionic fibers, that means all the sympathetic as well as the parasympathetic preganglionic fiber, they will release the acetylcholine. While all the postganglionic parasympathetic fibers, they will release the acetylcholine again. And most of the postganglionic sympathetic, which are adrenergic type of the fiber, they will release the norepinephrine mainly, but they may also release the epinephrine. And a few postganglionic sympathetic fibers that are supplying to the sweat glands, piloerector muscles of the hair, and very few blood vessels. That fibers of the sympathetic are cholinergic, so they will release the acetylcholine. Okay, so clear? So this is about the release of the neurotransmitters. So this is the same figure showing the same thing. Here the sympathetic division where the preganglionic fiber, they are releasing the acetylcholine. Similarly here preganglionic fiber, and here also in the parasympathetic preganglionic fiber. So all the preganglionic fiber, they will release the acetylcholine as a neurotransmitter. But as far as the postganglionic fibers are concerned, all the parasympathetic postganglionic, you can see here parasympathetic postganglionic, they will release the acetylcholine again. But as far as the sympathetic division is concerned, most of the postganglionic sympathetic fiber, they will release the norepinephrine and also to certain extent epinephrine. Okay. But certain postganglionic sympathetic divisions that are supplying to the sweat glands and the piloerector muscles that are a cholinergic fiber, they will release the acetylcholine. Okay. Now a sympathetic division में दूसरा एक certain preganglionic fiber, they are terminating at the adrenal medulla, not over the other ganglia. कि कुछ फाइबर्स ऐसे होते हैं जो सिंपैथिक डिवीजन के जो भी एड्रेनल मेडुला पे टर्मिनेट होंगे और वहां से उसके पोस्ट गैंग्लियन फाइबर इस तरह से होते नहीं है. जस्ट दिस एड्रेनल मेडुला विल एक्ट एज अ पोस्ट गैंग्लियन न्यूरॉन्स. अलग से यहाँ पे पोस्ट गैंग्लियनिक फाइबर्स नहीं रहते. So this preganglionic ending will release the acetylcholine, but the ganglia within the adrenal medulla that will act as a postganglionic neuron, they will release the epinephrine and norepinephrine within the gland, and that will circulate in the blood, and via the circulation that epinephrine and the norepinephrine will affect the target tissue. Okay, so clear? So यहाँ पे postganglionic fiber में से नॉरएपिनेफ्रिन एंड एपिनेफ्रिन रिलीज होते हैं, लेकिन सिंपैथेटिक के कुछ फाइबर्स ऐसे होते हैं जो कि एड्रेनल मेडुला पे एंड होते हैं और वहां से एपिनेफ्रिन एंड नॉरएपिनेफ्रिन, मेनली यहाँ पे एपिनेफ्रिन मींस एड्रेनल रिलीज होंगे, लेकिन सर्टेन amount of the norepinephrine is also released here from the adrenal medulla. Okay, and it will circulate via the target tissue, it will go through the circulation and reach to the target tissue where it will affect. Okay, अब यहाँ पे जो एड्रेनर्जिक फाइबर में से ने आपको बोला कि दो तरह के न्यूरोट्रांसमीटर्स होते हैं, एपिनेफ्रिन एंड नॉरएपिनेफ्रिन. दैट मींस एड्रेनालिन और नॉरएड्रेनालिन एज सच दोनों की इफेक्ट सिमिलर ही है, लेकिन कुछ जगह पे तो इफेक्ट में बी क्वाइट डिफरेंट. एज फॉर एग्जांपल मानो कि एक एग्जांपल लेते हैं तो जो बीटा रिसेप्टर्स एड्रेनर्जिक टाइप के बीटा और अल्फा होते हैं, दैट यू नो. ओके, सो बीटा रिसेप्टर्स पे एपिनेफ्रिन की प्रीडोमिनेट इफेक्ट होती है, वाइल अल्फा रिसेप्टर्स पे नॉरएपिनेफ्रिन की इफेक्ट ज्यादा होती है. Okay, so that is the one difference. Like there are a few certain difference between the action of the epinephrine and norepinephrine. Otherwise, on most of the tissue, their effect is the same. Okay, only difference is that पोस्ट गैंग्लियनिक फाइबर में से नॉरएपिनेफ्रिन ज्यादा रिलीज होते हैं, लेकिन एड्रेनल मेडुला में से एपिनेफ्रिन ज्यादा रिलीज होते हैं. Okay, the detailed physiological aspect of the autonomic receptors, very important here. Before the neurotransmitters can stimulate an effector organ, they must bind with the specific receptors. So जो भी neurotransmitters हमने अभी देखे उसकी effect तभी आएगी when they will bind with their specific receptors. And there are various kind of the receptors present at the different target tissue. When the neurotransmitter bind with the receptors, the structure of the protein molecules become altered. Receptors का जो that structure that will be altered and then it will do its effect. So this change can excite or inhibit the cell by affecting the cell membrane permeability to the various ions or by activating certain enzymes. So in this way, the autonomic neurotransmitter will join the autonomic receptors, and there will be change in that receptor, and that will increase or decrease the permeability to the various ions, and then there will be an effect over the target cell. Then coming to the types of the autonomic receptors. So broadly, there are two important types of the autonomic receptors that are seen in the body. One are cholinergic receptors and second are the adrenergic receptors. So these cholinergic receptors, basically they respond to a acetylcholine, that is basically a parasympathetic transmitter. While the adrenergic receptors, they are mainly responding to the norepinephrine or noradrenaline and also to the adrenaline. Okay, and that are basically a type of the sympathetic transmitters. So broadly, these are the two important type of the autonomic receptors. So further types that we will see now. So then the pharmacological classification of these two important receptors, that means sub-classification of these two receptors, so that you can see here. So broadly, you know, cholinergic receptors and the adrenergic receptors. Now cholinergic receptors again can be sub-classified pharmacologically as a muscarinic receptor and the nicotinic receptor. And the muscarinic receptors again, it have a sub-classification in the form of the M1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, out of which this M1, 2 and 3 are important. And the nicotinic receptors are again of a two type, NM and NN. So NM, M for a muscular type, so that is present at the neuromuscular junction. Okay, and N, that is for a neuronal type, that is basically present over the ganglia, autonomic ganglia. Okay, so clear. So these are the sub-classification of the cholinergic receptors and its effect that we will see further here. And then second broad type of the autonomic receptor, that is adrenergic, it is again sub-classified as a alpha and the beta. Alpha is again of two type, alpha 1, alpha 2. Beta is again of two type, beta 1, 3 type, beta 1, beta 2 and the beta 3. So these are the various sub-classification of the two important autonomic receptors. Detail we will see further. So now first in detail about the cholinergic type of the receptors that are basically concerned with the release or secretion of the acetylcholine. So these are named after the drugs that bind to them and mimic the acetylcholine effect. So जो भी drug इस receptors पे bind करेगी, they will do the effect or they will have an action that is like that of the acetylcholine. Acetylcholine की भी जो भी effect आएगी, इस तरह की effect जो भी drug देगी that are bind with the cholinergic receptor. So cholinergic receptor again, as I have told, there are two major type, muscarinic and the nicotinic. So these muscarinic receptors basically they are found on all the effector cells stimulated by a postganglionic cholinergic neurons of the parasympathetic nervous system. Okay. While these nicotinic receptors that are found mainly at the autonomic ganglia, both sympathetic as well as the parasympathetic. Okay, so where there are synapses present between the pre and post ganglionic fiber. So ganglia pe pre or post ganglionic fibers are a synapsing. So where the nicotinic receptors are present, then also these nicotinic receptors are present at the neuromuscular junction and also in the adrenal medulla. Now coming to the mechanism of action of the autonomic receptors, so which first we will see the mechanism of action of a muscarinic acetylcholine type of the receptor. So this figure shows the briefing of the mechanism of action of the various type of the muscarinic acetylcholine receptors. Now as far as the mechanism of action is concerned, the various hormones or the neurotransmitters or the chemicals are acting in a different way. So there are various mechanisms of action and that various type that you will learn with the endocrine system. out of that, one important mechanism of action of various chemicals, it is through the G protein coupled receptor. So here these receptors, muscarinic acetylcholine receptors, are type of the G protein coupled receptor. Okay. So now you know the subclassification of this muscarinic receptor. There are 5 types, M1 to M5. So out of this M1, 3 and 5 that are present in this tissue, they act through the GQ type of the G protein coupled receptor, while M2 and M4 they will act through the GI type of the G protein coupled receptor. Okay. So whenever the neurotransmitter will bind with this receptor, GQ type of the receptor, that means M1, 3 and 5, that will excite that particular tissue. This tissue पे A receptor है, that will be excited, that will be stimulated. So these receptors are mainly excitatory in nature. So how they will work? So whenever the neurotransmitter will bind with this receptor, it will act through the phosphorylase C. So that will increase the IP3 and the DAG, increasing the inositol triphosphate level and the diacylglycerol. So increasing this, it will cause a opening of the calcium channel. So it will cause the influx of the calcium. So increase the intracellular calcium, and with this there will be decreased potassium conductance. So both this effect, increase calcium and decrease potassium conduction, it will cause the depolarization of that particular cell membrane, and in this way it will cause the excitation or a stimulation of that particular target cell or a tissue. So as far as the structures are concerned, there will be a CNS excitation, increased gastric secretion, increased GI motility, increased granular secretion, then there will be contraction of the visceral smooth muscle, then the vasodilation through the nitric oxide. Now as far as this M2 and M4 are concerned, that are type of the GI protein coupled receptor. So whenever the neurotransmitter acetylcholine will bind with this receptor, it will inhibit that particular cell or a tissue. So these are mostly inhibitory in nature. So here this receptor, they will decrease the cyclic AMP, and because of that there will be decrease in the calcium. So there will be inhibition of the calcium channel, and there will be increased potassium conductance opposite to this. So there will be a slow inhibitory post-synaptic potentiation. So because of this effect, there will be a hyperpolarization of the membrane. The cell membrane will be hyperpolarized, so there will be an inhibitory effect over that particular target cell or a tissue. So as far as the structures are concerned with this receptor, there will be a cardiac inhibition, increase in the heart activity, there will be a presynaptic inhibition, and also the neuronal inhibition. So clear? So these are the various subclassification of the muscarinic acetylcholine receptor and their action. So these are mostly excitatory and these are inhibitory. Now the mechanism of action of the second type of the cholinergic receptor, that is the nicotinic type of the receptor. So it is having a nicotinic action that is similar to those induced by the nicotine. Now you are aware about this term nicotine. So nicotine, it is the chemical that is excreted from the plant Nicotiana tabacum, that is a tobacco plant. Okay. And its mechanism of action, again you know there are two types of the nicotinic receptor, NN and NM. Okay. In both the case, the action is by opening of the channels and rapid flow of the cations, so by which it will cause the depolarization of the membrane. Now NM type of the receptors, whenever they are stimulated, they will cause the opening of the sodium and the potassium channel, while the N type of the receptor, they will cause the opening of the sodium, potassium as well as the calcium channel. So in this way, all this ultimately it will lead to the depolarization. So because of this, the effect of the acetylcholine binding to the nicotinic receptor, it is always stimulatory. So any neurotransmitter or the drugs that will bind with the nicotinic type of the receptor, either it is NM or NN, the effect will be stimulatory. So this, it will nicotinic receptor, it will stimulate all the autonomic ganglia where they are present. Also they will stimulate the certain voluntary muscles, and also as they are present in the adrenal medulla, this nicotinic cholinergic receptor, it will increase the secretion of the epinephrine, that is the adrenaline, from the adrenal medulla as well. Then coming to the second broad type of the autonomic receptor, that is the adrenergic receptor. So I think you are clear about the cholinergic receptors. So we'll see about the adrenergic receptor now. So again, there are two major types as we have seen in the classification, alpha and the beta. Okay, alpha receptor that are again subclassified as alpha 1, alpha 2, and the beta receptors that are again sub-classified as a beta 1, beta 2 and the beta 3. So alpha receptors, they are mainly stimulated by a noradrenaline, which is used in the process such as controlling the vasoconstriction. While the beta receptor, it is also affected by adrenaline. That means here alpha receptor is mainly affected by norepinephrine or noradrenaline, while this beta receptors, it is affected by noradrenaline as well as the adrenaline, which is used in the process like a controlling heart rate and the strength of the cardiac contraction. Okay, so again the mechanism of action and the effect we will see in this lecture only. Now here is the mechanism of action of the adrenergic type of the autonomic receptors. Now you know the subclassification of this adrenergic type receptor: alpha 1, alpha 2, beta 1, beta 2 and beta 3. Now like that of the cholinergic receptors, these receptors are also a G protein coupled type of the receptor. Again there are subclassification GQ type, GI type and GS type. Okay. So alpha 1 receptor, that is a type of the GQ, alpha 2 that is a type of the GI, and beta receptors that are basically type of the GS. Okay. So the drugs or the neurotransmitter that will bind with the alpha 1 receptor, that are a GQ type of the receptor, they are mostly excitatory. They will stimulate the target tissue. Okay. Because the bond of this neurotransmitter or drug with this alpha 1 receptor, that is GQ type, it will increase the IP3 level, inositol triphosphate, and also the diacylglycerol. That will increase the calcium influx and that will cause the depolarization of the membrane or the target cell. So they are a excitatory in nature. They will stimulate that particular tissue. Okay. The alpha 2 receptor that are a GI type, they are basically inhibitory in nature. So the drugs or the neurotransmitter, when bind with this alpha 2 type of the receptor, it will decrease the cyclic AMP, and because of that there will be decrease in the calcium influx, or there will be a calcium channel inhibition rather, and with that there will be increased potassium conductance. So these both the channels effect, it will produce a hyperpolarization of the membrane or the target cell, and that will inhibit the particular tissue. So these receptors are mainly inhibitory in nature. And then coming to the beta type of the receptors, they are basically GS type of the receptor that may be excitatory or inhibitory. Okay. So these, the beta 1 and beta 3, they are mostly excitatory, while the beta 2, it is mostly inhibitory. Okay. So the drugs or a neurotransmitter that will bind with the beta 1 or a beta 3 receptor, that will cause increase in the cyclic AMP and it will cause the depolarization of the membrane. So that will lead to the excitation of that particular tissue or a stimulation. Okay. While the neurotransmitter or any drug that will bind with the beta 2 receptor, that will cause the inhibitory effect over that particular target tissue. Okay. So that will by decreasing the cyclic AMP and decrease in the calcium influx or causing the hyperpolarization. So beta 2 receptors, they are mostly inhibitory in nature. Okay. So from this figure you can tell that the type 1 receptor, either it is alpha 1 or a beta 1. So type 1 receptor, they are excitatory, alpha 1 excitatory and beta 1 also excitatory in nature. While the type 2 receptor, type 2 adrenergic receptor, that is alpha 2 or a beta 2, both are mostly inhibitory. So these are is alpha 2 inhibitory and it is the beta 2 that is the inhibitory nature. So this is in brief about the mechanism of action of the adrenergic type of the receptor, how they will behave once the neurotransmitter will bind to that. So then certain important features regarding the adrenergic receptor. So now the sympathetic stimulation that will cause the excitation of the adrenergic receptor. So whenever there is a sympathetic stimulation, there will be release of the norepinephrine and the epinephrine, or a noradrenaline and the adrenaline that will bind with the adrenergic receptor. And you know the sympathetic system, it is basically active during the stress. Whenever there is a stress, physical or mental stress, this will be stimulated. So during stress, the tissues helps us should be stimulated, while those that doesn't help should be inhibited. तो स्ट्रेस के समय में जो भी टिश्यू हमें इम्पोर्टेंट है हमारे लिए स्ट्रेस को टैकल करने के लिए, that should be stimulated, while others that are not important to tackle the stress, that must be inhibited. Okay. So here, as far as these receptors are concerned, adrenergic receptors, so all the tissues to be stimulated by the adrenergic drive should have alpha 1 receptors. जो भी टिश्यू को स्टिमुलेट होना है वहां पे अल्फा 1 रिसेप्टर्स होना चाहिए, एक्सेप्ट कि हार्ट, juxtaglomeralar apparatus in the kidney and the adipocytes, that is adipose tissue, कि वहां पे there will be no alpha 1 receptor but they are containing beta 1 receptor. Okay, so they are also excitatory. So all the type 1 receptors, whether it's alpha 1 or beta 1, wherever they are present, they will excite the tissue. Okay, so now you're wondering that is adipocytes, so they are basically concerned with the beta 3 receptors, but beta 3 receptor is again a type of the modified beta 1 type. Okay, so by this you can tell that the tissues to be stimulated should have a type 1 receptor. जो सिंपैथेटिक स्टिमुलेशन कब होगा, जब स्ट्रेस होगा तब, और उस समय जो भी टिश्यू स्टिमुलेट होनी है वहां पे या तो अल्फा 1 रिसेप्टर्स होना चाहिए या फिर बीटा 1 रिसेप्टर. So that means that must be a type 1 receptor. Okay. And then all the tissues to be inhibited should have a beta 2 receptors except presynaptic nerve terminal, platelets and the some part of the GI tract which are having alpha 2 receptors. That means during stress जो भी टिश्यू इतनी इंपॉर्टेंट नहीं है स्ट्रेस को टैकल करने के, that must be inhibited, और where there must be a type 2 receptor, either beta 2 or alpha 2. So most of the tissue पे beta 2 receptors होंगे जो भी inhibited होनी है, और बाकी कुछ tissues पे there will be alpha 2 that are to be inhibited. Okay. So tissues to be inhibited should have a type 2 receptors either in the form of the alpha 2 or the beta 2. So I think you are clear about this receptor. So जो भी receptors in the form of the type 1 होंगे वहां पे tissue will be stimulated. Alpha 1 है या फिर beta 1 है या फिर beta 3 है, that is again modified beta 1, that tissue will be stimulated, while जहां पे भी type 2 receptors है that tissues will be inhibited during the sympathetic stimulation. Okay, as for example take example during exercise, आप exercise कर रहे हो, so at that time the exercise, that is a type of the physical stress, so during that the alpha 1 receptors it should be stimulated because it is type 1 receptor. So stimulation of alpha 1 receptors, it will decrease the blood flow to the skin as well as the splanchnic vessel, that means GI tract, by causing a vasoconstriction. So that is important because that blood flow that is decreased to that tissue, it will be diverted to the skeletal muscle because skeletal muscles has to do more work during the exercise. Then similarly the beta 1 receptors during that exercise, beta 1 receptors again stimulatory, so that are present over the heart tissue. So stimulation of beta 1 receptor during exercise, it will increase the heart rate and the force of contraction, so that will increase the blood flow to the skeletal muscle. Then similarly the inhibitory tissues, like where the type 2 receptors are present, like beta 2 receptors that is present over the GI wall, over the bladder, well they will inhibit the GI activity. Gastrointestinal activity will decrease during the exercise because they are containing beta 2 receptors. Okay, so that is how these are differentiated inhibitory receptors and the excitatory receptors. So I think you are clear about this various types of the receptor. Then just in brief about the mechanism of transfer of neurotransmitters across the receptors, how they will go there and how they will bind with them. So the release of the neurotransmitter, it is caused by a chain of the events. So where initially the calcium channels open in the presynaptic axon terminal, then the neurotransmitters will released, then it will bind with the postsynaptic receptors, and that will cause the opening of the channels in the postsynaptic membrane, and the effect of the neurotransmitter will be terminated. So first what will happen whenever there is action potential or impulse generated in the neuron, autonomic neurons, so that action potential will travel through the neuron to reach at its nerve terminal, okay, where it will cause the release of the, it will cause the opening of the calcium channel at the presynaptic axon terminal, so that will cause the calcium influx and that will cause the exocytosis of the neurotransmitter जो कि वहां पे स्टोर रहता है. So that neurotransmitter जो वहां से रिलीज हुआ है that will bind with the post synaptic receptor, जो उसके post synaptic neurons है या फिर जो भी that targeting tissues है वहां पे जो receptors है उसके साथ वो neurotransmitter will bind, and that bond of the neurotransmitter with the receptors, it will cause the opening of the channels in that particular cell membrane or the post synaptic membrane. So that will again cause the generation of the action potential, and finally after the effect the neurotransmitter will be either it will be reabsorbed back into the presynaptic terminal, or it will be degraded, or it will go elsewhere away. So in this way this neurotransmittal effect will be seen. So this figure again shows the same thing, how the nerve impulse will reach and how it will cause the release of the neurotransmitter and how the neurotransmitter will bind with the receptor to do its action. So let us see, this is the presynaptic terminal and this is the neuron. So whenever the action potential or impulse will reach here at the nerve terminal, it will cause the opening of the calcium channel that will cause the release of the neurotransmitter. As for example, here is the acetylcholine, here is the epinephrine, norepinephrine, and this neurotransmitter will release to the synaptic cleft, and then the receptors for that are present over the postsynaptic membrane, where it will bind with that respective receptor and it will change the permeability of this postsynaptic membrane or a cell membrane of the target tissue, and it will do its action. Okay, and after changing permeability and doing its action, the effect of the neurotransmitter will be terminated, where either the neurotransmitter will go back into the presynaptic terminal, or it will be degraded here, or it will go elsewhere via the circulation. Okay, so this similar is basically for the adrenergic receptors, where the norepinephrine and epinephrine are released from the presynaptic terminal and binds to its respective receptor and change the permeability of the membrane. So clear? So here is the briefing of the what we have discussed in this lecture till now, that has been here narrated in the tabular form. Okay. So just you can see in this table, where shows the various type of the receptors, where they are actually located, the major organs where they are located, and what is their basic effect. So first, the cholinergic receptors, that are again of two type, nicotinic and muscarinic, that already we have discussed. Nicotinic, that is NM and NN. Okay. NM, that is mainly present over the neuromuscular junction, so that is a muscle type of the receptor, and N, that is basically present over the autonomic ganglia and the adrenal medulla, so that is a type of the neuronal receptor. And the stimulation of this receptor, whenever the neurotransmitter will bind with either of this receptor, it will cause the excitation of that particular tissue. That means it is a stimulatory in nature. Then the muscarinic receptor, again five important type out of that. These are the three major: M1, M2 and M3. M1, that is present mainly over the central nervous system, where the stimulation of that receptor, it will cause the depolarization and release of the histamine, and that is also concerned with the memory and the learning. So again, M1 receptor is a type of the stimulatory. Then M2 receptors basically present over the heart, and that is inhibitory in nature. So whenever this will stimulate it will inhibit the heart rate as well as the force. Also it may decrease the force of contraction. Then M3 receptors, that are present mainly over the visceral smooth muscles, then exocrine glands, and over the vascular endothelium. So where they are excitatory. So here over the visceral smooth muscle and the glands, that will increase the GI motility and also the various secretions, while over the vascular endothelium they will cause the vasodilation. Then regarding the adrenergic receptors, its location and their effect. So alpha 1 receptors, that are present mainly over the vascular smooth muscles of the skin and the splanchnic regions. So they are excitatory in nature. So excitation or stimulation of this receptor, it will constrict the blood vessels and the visceral organ sphincters. So by this, it will decrease the blood flow to these tissues, GI tract tissue, pelvic viscera, and the skin, and also it will close the sphincters, various sphincters, so that will decrease the activity of that particular organ. Okay. Then alpha 2, that is inhibitory in nature, that are present over the membrane of the adrenergic axon terminals, then over the pancreas and the platelets. So they will cause the relaxation or the dilation of that particular part of the tissue. Then beta 1, that is predominantly in the heart, where they are a stimulatory in nature, they will increase the heart rate as well as the force of contraction. Then beta 2 basically present over the lungs, coronary vessels, bladder, and the GI walls. So that are again inhibitory in nature. So that will dilate the blood vessels and the bronchioles. They will relax the smooth muscles of the GI wall and also the bladder wall. While the beta 3 receptors, that are mainly the modified beta 1 receptor, present over the adipose tissues, over the membrane of the adipocytes. So they are stimulatory in nature, so they will increase the lipolysis, increase the breakdown of the fat. So you can see that the type 1 receptor alpha 1, beta 2, they are excitatory, stimulatory, as we have discussed earlier also, and type 2 receptors alpha 2, beta 2, they are inhibitory. While beta 3, that is stimulatory, but it is called as a, considered as a modified beta 1 receptor, and that is excitatory. Okay. Then now here we will see certain differences in the physiological effect of the sympathetic as well as the parasympathetic neurons over the various tissues. So if you understood the things that we have discussed till now, it will be much easier to understand the effects. Okay, so just it is a type of the revision, nothing much more extra other than what we have discussed till now. So now in this table you can see the effect of the sympathetic stimulation and the parasympathetic stimulation over the various target organ. Now most of the organ, they are receiving both the type of the innervation, sympathetic as well as the parasympathetic, and again at the most of the place the effect of both these, it will be antagonist, that means the opposite. Okay. So we're starting with the first, that is eye. In the eye the effect are over two structure, one is over iris and second is over the ciliary muscle. So over the iris, the sympathetic stimulation, it will stimulate the dilator muscle, pupil dilator muscle, so it will cause the dilatation of the pupil, so the pupil will be widened. While the parasympathetic stimulation, it will lead to the stimulation of a constrictor muscle, so that will lead to the constriction of the pupil, that is a narrowing of the pupil. While the ciliary muscle, the sympathetic stimulation will cause the relaxation of the ciliary muscle, while parasympathetic will cause a constriction of the or a contraction of the ciliary muscle. So in this way, the sympathetic stimulation, it will help the eye to accommodate for the far vision. आपको एकदम दूर देखना है, then your eye will be dilated. You have to dilate your eye. While if you are accommodating for a near vision, एकदम आपको नजदीक देखना है, you have to accommodate there, then there must be a constriction of the pupil. That is via the parasympathetic stimulation. Okay. Then next is the salivary gland, effect over the salivary gland. Sympathetic stimulation, it will lead to the increased secretion, but it will be a mucus type. The mucin will be more there, less watery but more mucus. While the parasympathetic stimulation, it will lead to the increased watery secretion in the saliva. Okay. Then over the sweat glands, the sympathetic stimulation, it will lead to increased sweat in a large amount via the cholinergic neurons, while the parasympathetic stimulation will also increase the sweat, but that sweating mainly will be on the palms of the hand. Then effect over the gallbladder, the sympathetic stimulation will inhibit the gallbladder smooth muscles, so by which it will relax the gallbladder, decrease the emptying, increase the storage, while the parasympathetic stimulation, it will lead to the contraction of the muscles of the gallbladder, so that it will help to remove the bile from the gallbladder, so to expel the bile. Then over the erector pili muscles that are present over the skin, so the sympathetic stimulation here, it will lead to the contraction of that muscle, so that will lead to the piloerection, straightening of the hair over the skin, while the parasympathetic has a mainly no innervation over that. Okay. Now the effect over the cardiac muscle, that are the heart muscle, the sympathetic stimulation, it will lead to increase heart rate as well as the force of contraction through the beta 1 receptor, while the parasympathetic stimulation has the opposite effect. It will decrease the heart rate and the atrial, mainly the atrial force of contraction. Then the coronary blood vessels, where the sympathetic stimulation will lead to the dilatation through the beta 2 receptor, but through the alpha receptor it causes a constriction of the blood vessel, while the parasympathetic, it is have a dilatory effect over the coronary blood vessels. Then the urinary bladder and the urethra, the sympathetic stimulation will cause a relaxation of the detrusor muscle, that are the bladder muscle, while it will contract the urinary urethral sphincter. So by this it will prevent the voiding of the urine, while the parasympathetic stimulation, it will lead to the contraction of the smooth muscle of the bladder, that are a detrusor muscle, and it will relax the urethral sphincter. So by this, the parasympathetic stimulation, it will help in the micturition, in voiding the urine. Then over the lungs, the sympathetic stimulation, it will cause the bronchodilation, dilatation of the bronchi, while the parasympathetic, it will cause the constriction of bronchi. Okay. Then over the digestive organ, sympathetic system will lead to decreased activity of the GI tract as well as the glands, while the parasympathetic stimulation, it will lead to the increased activity. So it will also increase the motility of the GI tract in the form of the peristalsis, and it will also increase the various secretions from the various glands as well as the GI tissues. Okay. Then the liver, sympathetic stimulation, indirectly it will increase the glucose release, mainly by causing the lipolysis, while the parasympathetic system has a no innervation at the liver. Then coming to the effect over the kidney, the sympathetic stimulation will release the renin, that is a type of the hormone which will act to increase the blood pressure. So sympathetic stimulation, it is increasing the blood pressure, while the parasympathetic has a no innervation at the kidney. Then the male genitalia, the sympathetic stimulation, it will lead to the smooth muscle contraction of the penis that will cause the ejaculation of the sperm, while the parasympathetic stimulation, it will cause the vasodilation in the penile arteries that will lead to the erection of the penis. And over the female genitalia, sympathetic stimulation, it will lead to the reverse vaginal peristalsis movement. And the parasympathetic is mainly concerned with the vasodilation over the clitoris, so that it will cause the erection of the clitoris. And then the effect on the blood coagulation, sympathetic system will increase the coagulation rate, but parasympathetic has a no effect. So mainly this is by causing a vasoconstriction. Cellular metabolism, the sympathetic will lead to the increased metabolic rate. So overall metabolism will be increased by the sympathetic stimulation. So it is also called as a type of the catabolic system. While the parasympathetic system, it is mainly have a no effect over the metabolism. And the adipose tissue, the sympathetic stimulation, it will lead to the fat breakdown by causing a lipolysis through its beta 3 receptor action. While the parasympathetic system has a mainly there is no innervation to the adipocytes or adipose tissue. Then certain other organs and the effect of the sympathetic parasympathetic, one is over the mental activity, that means over the central nervous system. Sympathetic stimulation, it will increase the alertness, it will stimulate the CNS and it will increase the alertness, while a parasympathetic has a mainly no effect over this mental activity. Then as far as the blood vessels are concerned, the sympathetic stimulation will lead to the constriction of the most of the blood vessel, and by that it will increase the blood pressure, while certain exception is there, like a blood vessels of the skeletal muscle, where the sympathetic stimulation will lead to the dilatation of the blood vessels, so where it will increase the blood flow, and that is important during the exercise or a physical stress. जब skeletal muscles को ज़्यादा blood flow चाहिए, तो वहाँ पे sympathetic stimulation क्या करेगा कि भाई skeletal muscles के जो blood vessels उसको dilate होंगे, so it will increase the blood flow, while other blood vessel will constrict, जहाँ पे blood flow कम हो जाएगा, especially the skin and the GI tract. So uska blood flow, it will be diverted to the skeletal muscle. And then the parasympathetic, it is mainly having a little effect or no effect over the blood vessels. Then the uterus, so depending on the stage of the cycle, the sympathetic and the parasympathetic system will act. Either it is a non-pregnant uterus or a pregnant uterus. Okay. And then over the endocrine pancreas, sympathetic stimulation, it will mainly inhibit the insulin secretion. It will decrease the insulin secretion, while the parasympathetic, it has either no effect over the endocrine pancreas, or it may slightly stimulate the insulin secretion. Okay. And while the exocrine pancreas, you know, the sympathetic will decrease the secretion, while the parasympathetic will increase the pancreatic secretion. So this is all about this autonomic neurotransmitter and the receptors, and these are the certain references for this lecture over the various autonomic neurotransmitters and the receptors. Okay. So hope you understood this lecture, and this is a very important topic. Specifically, the autonomic receptors are very important to learn, and what is the effect of the neurotransmitter through that receptors. Now in the next lecture we will see about the important roles of the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous system in the living body and how they are regulated. Thank you.